All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with episode 9 of Zed Daily. Today, I have another Zed Run content creator and another staple in the Zed Run community, Mr. DarthSide Supercoats. How you doing?
Doing great, man. Thanks for having me on.
No problem, man. No problem. So before we get into Zed Run, I wanted to ask you, how did you get into cryptocurrency, and then how did that parlay into Zed Run?
So I was doing some research for a nonprofit that I'm involved with, the Human Anatomy Project, and with a another NFT project that I was asked to consult on. So when that happened, I was given a small bag to go out and explore the world of crypto, and checked out a few different things while I was doing my research. Came across Zed Run, bought a crappy horse, and I was hooked. I was like, okay, I'm definitely in this, but I did get to learn a lot of things along the way about what kind of horses to buy, the breeding process, and of course, security. Because most people know I did get a pretty high profile hack happen to me.
So let's go into that. So what happened? Was that your first horse that happened to, and what was the story behind that?
No, that hack happened when I was up to 14 horses at the time. I going for a while. Although the original security hack part happened, I think, very, very early on when I was first getting into the crypto space and was on Discord talking to admins in Mintable and Rarible and OpenSea. And just because I needed to understand for releasing a collection what that was going to be like. And when I did that, I believe I shared my QR code with a fake OpenSea person. I was so early, I had no clue, but I also had nothing in my wallet, so they didn't do anything. And they came back a few months later, and by then I'd built up some stuff. I had a few thousand in crypto. I had uh, some NFTs that ended up getting sold out from underneath me. The way I became aware of it, I have notifications on my phone for emails and for bids and sales from OpenSea. I had the settings for all those to happen. And middle of the morning, I don't remember, probably like 3 o'clock in the morning, I get a notification on my phone saying that my Jockey Club Classic token had sold. And I knew I didn't list that for sale because the Jockey Club Classic hadn't happened yet, you know. And so that had me pick up my phone. And then another notification comes through and says that Slayer was sold. And Slayer was, or not Slayer, sorry, Looper was sold. And Looper was my slate gray Genesis stud, the most valuable horse I owned. And I knew for sure that it wasn't up for sale. So at that moment, I'm panicking. I get OpenSea pulled up and another horse sells. And then I get into the security area of OpenSea and another horse sells. And then I hit the my MetaMask or my OpenSea has been compromised button. That locked down OpenSea, but it didn't lock down MetaMask. So then they just shipped out all the currency. So what they had done was they just went through the offers and were just accepting anything, any offer that was on my stuff to sell. And so in the end, they sold 3 horses and 1 Jockey Club Classic before I locked them out, and they still managed to ship everything out.
So they got in with a QR code?
Yeah, so it used to be that you could mobile sync your phone to your MetaMask account by you pulling up that QR code. I didn't know enough about it to realize that that's what I gave to somebody else, I think. very early
Mm.
on. I vaguely remember I think that happened, so that's where I'm assuming the hack happened. But at the time, had no clue. I had just bought something that was super cheap, a $1.50 version of a $40 item. So I didn't know if maybe I bought a fake thing and got hacked. I didn't know if it was something else completely that I had no clue of, some new hack. Uh, but I panicked uh, and created a new wallet while my OpenSea account was still locked. But using the stable tool in Zed, I shipped off all 11 of my horses that I had left to a new wallet. Well, that broke my horses, all 11 of them. And when they got to the new wallet, I couldn't sell them. I couldn't list them for sale. I couldn't, nobody could bid on them. And so I reached out to Zed and to OpenSea. And as a result of that, they they marked all my horses as suspicious activity.
Hmm.
Not the three that were stolen out of my account, but the 11 I still had are now marked on OpenSea as suspicious activity. And I can't sell them or take bids on them. I could still transfer them through the Zed wallet or the Zed stable tool, but then whoever gets them isn't able to get bids or sell them either without that same funky thing. So I am in the middle of dealing with that with OpenSea, and it looks like I will be able to get that fixed someday. But so I'm just diamond hoofed on those 11. I'm up to 20 something horses now, so I've still managed to move forward. But it was definitely a learning experience. I definitely would suggest to people that you have, in my opinion, you should have three wallets. You should have your, I'm going to apply to your giveaway and drop my address on this uh, kind of wallet that you don't care if that wallet got hacked. It wouldn't be a big deal because it's full of junk. You should have a operations wallet, which is the one you're going to race out of, or the one you're going to buy something on OpenSea out of wallet. And then you should have your vault, a wallet that you never share the address on, that you never really expose to communities and things like that, where you're able to say, yeah, no, this is just going to sit over here for the next 5 years, kind of things. I really think that people should start diversifying their wallets, not just for that breeding fee bone advantage that you can get from doing that, but also just for security. So if I hadn't been on my phone, if I didn't have notifications on, I would have woke up and had no horses left. Especially not Darth Talon, who is my only racehorse. So, just a recommendation to everybody out there: don't put all your eggs in one basket, because trust me, that's a horrible feeling to wake up to.
Yeah, that does not sound fun at all. Has OpenSea like been have they had good customer service throughout this process, or has it been a pain?
It's been a pain. Zed's been a mixture of absolutely helpful as they could be, and also absolutely no help at all. Uh, so they, of course, they don't control OpenSea. They're not OpenSea. OpenSea is just a platform that they happen to have chosen to list and sell on. And they have devs that deal directly with OpenSea's devs. So I did have to climb that customer support ladder to try and get my information to the Zed developers to try and get an end around to the OpenSea developers. And they were not very helpful on that side, although a couple of their people did reach out to me on the sly and say, look, unofficially, we can't do anything. And it really boils down to, I believe, the separation they have to maintain because of the know your customer side of legalities for them. So I don't fault Zed for anything other than, this is your asset. This is your game asset that I can't use properly, and I'm now at a disadvantage to every other stable out there. Right before the tournament, the big Zed tournament, there was quite a few racehorses that were getting sold then. Nobody could even bid on Darth Talon. They would have had to come with like a 3 ETH offer for me to do it, but I couldn't even be in the running for someone to buy her. So I am at a little bit of a disadvantage, but I've decided to just embrace it and decide that those 11 horses are running on the Darth side. So
I like it. Would you like to see those horses that were stolen be frozen, be marked, be tagged?
I had that offer, and I said no because it wasn't the people that bought the horses' fault. They put in a bid. They woke up, the bid had been accepted, they were ecstatic. They did nothing wrong. I don't want them to be penalized for it. I did have G7, amazing member of our community, actually managed to buy one of the three and just gave it back to me.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, the Zed community is amazing. And if I hadn't already just jumped in with both feet, the community would have been enough to make me do it. The response of the community is a big portion of why I stuck with it. G7 bought that horse back for me. Zed Retro gave me a colt, an unnamed. Lady Luck Stables gave me a filly, unnamed. And so they're like, hey, sell it, breed it, race it, whatever you want. Just want to see you back whole. And that the support of the text messages, the people that retweeted, that were like, hey, Zed, help this dude out. What's going on? That community aspect of Zed is just amazing.
Yeah.
So
I agree as well.
I wouldn't want to see anything bad happen to those, but I am still, someday I will get myself a slate gray Genesis again, male, because that's the cornerstone of my breeding stable, is a slate gray Genesis male, and I don't have one anymore.
Let's go into why slate gray.
So yeah, that's something I really enjoy talking about, because not many people look into this side of things. I know it's just cosmetics and colors don't affect racing at all, whether it's rare, super rare, or super coat. But rare and super rare still command a little bit of a premium in pricing. I mean, if you pull up what a slate gray Genesis male goes for right now, you're talking 3 to 10 times, depending on the day, of a regular Genesis male of equal level. And so there's value just in the rare and the super rare aspect of it. But then the breeding algorithm, the color breeding algorithm, really comes into play. And Step Stables has a great color calculator you can look up and do your own research of pairings on. But if you look at the white paper from Zed and you look at the color breeding algorithm side of it, your percentages are based on what the parents' color column and box start off at. So if I breed 2 slate gray parents together, I have a pretty good chance at a super coat, just the same as anybody else breeding a super coat. But if I don't hit super coat, I'm getting a rare or better offspring color, 1% or better. That's just my entire breeding career. I have never bred anything less than a 1% coat color. And that's because of the slate gray and how its rarity and how those values affect the outcome. So I think it's 60% is controlled by the father, the color of the father. And then you get slight bonuses for Genesis and for Supercoat. And so when you start off at the top of the chart, which slate gray is the top of the chart, you don't get rarer than slate gray. You've equal rarity with Stronghold Ivory, but I'm on the Darth side, so I don't screw with the white stuff. If you start there, I have made it a slate gray, which is 4 out of 1,000 is their breakdown of how many there should be in the starting algorithm, 4 of them per 1,000. If I mate that with something on the bottom of that color table, uh, Suave Mauve, or something like that. My offspring is coming down from slate gray at super rare. So it might come down to rare, or it might come down to another super rare, either side. But its box is going to be very close to that starting super rare slate gray moon box. So it was just here's a little niche where I could increase my chances as a very small budget stable to be profitable.
Did you
And
have
so
continue?
that was probably about 10 horses in when I really made that full decision to do that, and sold off a couple of Genesis females that didn't fit my breeding program, and got myself this unraced, unnamed, unbred, slate gray Finny that I paid 0.385 or something like that for. So way overpaid. Market was much tougher back then, especially for the Finnies and stuff like that. And she was just bought as, wow, I've stepped up from Buterin. I'm now in the Finny realm, and I got my slate gray breeding female because she was legendary. So I could still have her offspring be exclusive and have values there. And no plans on racing her or anything like that. Uh, and then they said they were taking away odds. I was like, oh shit. Well, I got to throw everybody in a Griffey. I got to get some odds.
Yeah.
And so I threw everybody but one horse. I have one horse that I will never put in a Griffey. He will remain unraced for his entire life until Disney buys him from me. And they'll buy my whole stable at that point, because Darth Vader, I own the legendary Darth Vader, and he is a unraced, will not be raised because I don't. He's my Schrodinger's horse. As long as I don't race him, he still has the potential to be a legend.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I race him, I know the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not taking that chance on Darth Vader. But I didn't even pay attention to the results of these horses that I got Griffey happy that night on. I came back 2 days later and I look, and she had pulled 6 odds in her Griffey. I was like, whoa, I might want to race this horse. And then she's just the flamingest thing I've ever seen. She's a natural U, has a great down button in 3 different distances, can race in 3 different distances, all the way up into class 2 profitably. Yesterday, she won a class 2 $1,200 $15 race. So she normally resides in class 3. That's her natural comfort zone. I've only downclassed her twice in her life. Once before the Jockey Club Classic, because she was going to be drafted by somebody, and I wanted to give them the best chance of her winning. So I downclassed her to class 4 before the tournament. And then the second time was after my run in the NASCAR the big Zed tournament, because I'd just gotten into class 2. I saw everybody else downclassing their horses before the tournament, and it just wasn't me, wasn't my style. I totally within the rules, and nothing against the people that chose to do it that way, but that wasn't how I wanted to roll. So I started my Zed Run tournament in class 2, raced all the way up into class 1, ended up over 100 class points, or right about 100 class points, and said, okay, I got here, my 30 races are in, and I'm at 37%. That's not going to be good enough. I did that within 2 days. I did 30 legit races, not, I want to get on the leaderboard. No, this is okay, legit racing, class 2, class 1, 37% show rate. Not going to be enough. 3 races, dive, all the way down to 0 class points.
That's funny.
And then rode up in the money. I'm back up to class. Well, I just took a down class race to get back out of class 2 because of the costs. I can't afford to get up there anymore. I have to down class to keep myself out of class 2 and class 1 because of the minimum race fee. And with the new dropping rate of only -2 points, then I'm spending a minimum of 250 per point to D class. So I can't get way up into class 2 in class 1. Oh, $10 a race to try and D class 2 points. Now you're doing $5 a point to D class. So, and now, of course, I go to get in a race this morning and it says that she's already in a race, even though she's not. So she can't race right now, anyways. But yeah, those are the only 2 times I've ever declassed. No, nothing against people that are out there doing that all the time. And I see all the time horses with 150, 180 wins in class 5 with 8 class points. I'm like, I look forward to when they get some changes to kind of shift that up a little bit.
When people have to come up in class?
I don't know that people have to come up in class. I mean, if you're not profitable racing in class 4, I understand you declassing to try and stay in class 5. But there should be a system that if I have 100 wins, I shouldn't be going up against a guy with 2 wins or with no wins. There should be separation, just like in real horse racing for maidens. If you're a winless horse, you're not going up against a secretariat type horse. That's just not the way it works. You got to prove yourself down here before you're even going to qualify for these upper races. And I think that should have a little bit more to do with it. They should mirror a bit more of that. Number of wins, winning percentages, kind of things can be thrown in there. Although, again, winning percentage can be gamed. So wins shouldn't change your class. Just because you have 100 wins doesn't mean you should have to be in class 1. But it should means you shouldn't be in class 5 against horses that haven't won yet.
So would you say more of like maybe like get rid of classes, but just say if this horse has 100 races, you can't race against a horse that only has 10 races? So like
wins. I would say more wins.
Okay.
You might have 100 races in and still only have a second and a third.
Good point.
So I don't want you to be stuck up there with monsters you definitely can't compete with. But we should be able to, shift your funnel over to an area where you're racing against other horses that have similar number of races under their belt. So personally, I hope that the ELO system is actually more of a filterable, this is what I'd like to enter and can qualify for it. So yeah, winless horses. I should be able to have a select distance and class that I can be in for that.
And once you get your win, you're unqualified for that class.
Yeah, you can't do maiden the maiden type racing group anymore because you have gotten a win. Okay, now you're in the general racing. And then you've got 100 wins under your belt. Well, you need to be in monster class now.
I like that.
Monster class 5 is still a monster class. So if class 5 is where you need to be, that's fine. Then let's have you racing against other class 5 monsters. So I don't know. It's no matter what solution you come up with, I can figure out a way to game your system. And if I can do it, so can other people. So there's no perfect solution for this. No matter what changes they make, they're going to incentivize some horses and de-incentivize others. And that's why I've been saying from the very beginning, there's no such thing as glue. You have no clue what these changes are going to be. We have 15% of Zed Run available to us right now, in my opinion. When you consider weather, track surfaces, types of tracks, types of races, that we still haven't even gotten words on, let alone an idea of how that will affect us. Are they going to have a steeplechase? Are Zabos going to be the jumping kings? Is Zabos so weak racing because they're such great breeders? Take your knock, slap it with a Zabo daddy. And those, Z6s and Z7s and Z5s are looking really, really good out there. that have, a little knock in them, a little Zabo in them. I've seen a lot of those monsters. When I explore the lineage of some of these great uh, horses that are a little more under the radar because they aren't arbitrages or Danshans, and so they don't get the promotional side of things. But you see them in your race, and you're like, oh crap, there he is again.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I don't know who owns that stable, but man, I'm tired of seeing that horse.
The
So
Z7s, especially, yeah, I've noticed like the bred Z7s with a little bit of a Naka in them are some killers.
yeah, yeah, that knocks out. I mean, I've seen a lot of stuff that has a little bit of Zabo in it that tends to be really good, and so maybe they're not good racers in this environment. Maybe they're the best breeders, though. Maybe they're really strong in adding, being able to maintain the base ability at a higher level. I don't know. I don't discover the algorithm, and I don't hope nobody ever does discover the secrets of the algorithm because that'll ruin the game, in my opinion.
Keep it interesting.
If someone figures it out, it better be just like my wife. They better change the rules.
So let's get into breeding a little bit. What are your strategies and how do you feel about the current breeding minimum system? Are you able to breed right now? And if you are, what horses are you pairing together?
So, for the most part, I'm not doing too much breeding. I do have a breeding program. My breeding program, as I said, is a slate gray program. So, my first goal was to get a slate gray breeding pair, legendary or better, of each level. So, I have slate gray legendary Buterins, Finnies, and Zabos. Now, my Zabos are not legendary. I do have an exclusive in there for that. And then I got a knock female that's not slate gray just because I couldn't pass up a .04 knock female Z7. I was
Mm,
like, oh, yeah, I'll take that one.
mm,
I don't care what kind of racer it is. Uh, but I haven't been breeding my Buterins. The cost isn't worth it. Um, I did just breed Darth Talon with her half brother, though. That was, and her half brother is not slate gray. He's uh, Stronghold Ivory or some white color. But Darth Crate and Darth Talon mated. Didn't produce a monster for me. Hasn't flamed yet. It's got a second and a third out of like 10 races, but haven't really found a distance for it quite yet. Um, I would like to be breeding, but yeah, the cost of breeding is just out of whack right now with the value of the secondary market. One of the things I think that could help that situation and really think they need to do is they need to make breeding with Genesis a lot more expensive.
mm.
Uh, to me, the why would I breed with your legendary sire when for $20 more I can breed with a Genesis? That makes no sense. If you look at the real world and you want Secretariat's sperm, you're paying millions.
Mm.
And I always like to think of Genesis as the Secretariats of the game. They're the grandfathers that everybody wants the bloodline, and you need to make that rare. I understand why they didn't in the beginning. You're really trying to breed up as much of a population as you can and make as much noise as you can. I really think that that's part of the issue is they want that noise there in the beginning because odds really they didn't expect us to use odds the way we did, and I think that the odds were cutting through a lot of that noise, and that's why they got rid of it.
Cutting through the
They
noise, you
didn't
mean
like how we
like
were
people were
using odds.
figuring
We
it
were able
out?
to isolate out specific Genesis horses that were crap,
Mm.
and they didn't want that to happen. They're like, wait, no, you can't do one race, 10 races, and this horse is crap. Well, no, there's no discovery left.
Right.
Now, that was really helpful for a few of the really great Z1 and Z2 breeders that, oh, yeah, you got some ducky in you, or whatever. Uh, but the breeding costs, it should be $25 to breed a pacer or a cross. You know, total lotto ticket, quick and easy. Yeah, take a chance. You're not upset if you're not all that great. If you can win a little bit, that's even better. But the Z number of your offspring should be what in my opinion, a lot of the cost is based on as well. So that you're creating that structure of no, Z6s are expensive as hell. Z12s are pretty dang pricey. You get below Z30 and yeah, it's getting a lot more manageable in just picking up. Yeah, I feel like grabbing a lotto ticket. And I think that will help a lot with getting new players into the game, allowing people to breed and be profitable from the breeding, and will then just really explode the economy from the ground up.
Right.
I'm not a trickle down economics type of guy. What can I say?
Because if you're doing it like that, then you're placing the value on that bloodline. So you're saying like if you're coming in and you're giving people a chance to buy like a $20 Buterin, they don't have to come in and spend $1,800 on their first horse. And if it's a donkey, I'd rather lose $20 than 1,800. You know.
Yeah, if it's a donkey, well, guess what? You got to learn the racing mechanics, the interface, the tools that we use to search. You got time to get to know the community. On and it didn't cost you $500 worth of horse plus racing fees on top of that. Because I tell everybody if you haven't got 20 races in on your horse, you probably don't really know that much about your horse. I mean, you might have gotten lucky in your Griffey and got flames and figured out, oh yeah, here's a good distance. I tried down there, decent down distance, and that only took you 6. But most horses aren't that easy to figure out. Maybe if you got the blood tool or something else, it is. I don't know, but I can't afford that. No disrespect to Dan Shen. I hope to someday be able to afford a blood tool, but that incentivizes a lot more gameplay, a lot wider community coming in, and it's no longer the game of kings. Because right now in our current ecosystem, it's a game of kings. You look at the tournaments. Darth Talon is a top 1% in the game, according to LIR rankings. She has a lifetime within the top 1,500 of rankings. There's 150,000 horses in our ecosystem. That means she's a top 1% horse. She barely qualified for the Zombie 100. She had no chance in the Zed tournament. That's a top 1% horse. What is everybody else's chances? If you don't have a horse as good as Darth Talon, and I don't think Darth Talon's like, Princess of Power or anything like that, but she's a dang good, profitable horse. I mean, she's this close to 1 ETH in winnings, and gets to join the 1 ETH club. How many people have a horse that's anywhere even going to get them close to 1 ETH in profit?
Yeah, I think it goes back to 1%.
Inside of 3 months.
Yeah, 1%, maybe less.
Yeah. So, you're gonna ape in and buy yourself a Z4 Nakamoto that seems to have a decent winning rate. So that means you're gonna be spending what, 0.18, 0.25, somewhere in there to get that racer. How long is it going to take for you to be profitable? You bought some Genesis above Buterin? You're not going to be profitable unless you've got breeding. You just bought a Z1 Nakamoto for 40 ETH? You ain't going to make that back in racing. So there is a little bit to me of a disconnect in the economics of what it costs you to get a horse and what your potential to be profitable is. If you're looking at it as, no, I'm having fun, and when they do the party mode and you can sit there playing poker with your boys and have, we're going to do a round robin. Everybody got to bring 6 horses to the table tonight, and maybe someone's going to win a horse out of it or something like that. Then you can be profitable with party mode and stuff like that. But for the majority of people, they're not going to be profitable racing in Zed. It's a fun thing, yeah. And breeding, has the opportunity to make you profitable a lot quicker than racing. But when they price out the breeding to where you can't afford to breed because the offspring you're going to breed isn't going to sell, because they've glutted the market with these low Z numbers, literally you can get a Nakamoto, a slate gray Nakamoto, like Z8 right now. I think I saw one last night for a 0.08 for a female Nakamoto in slate gray. Where's your profit if you bred that horse? It costs you more than 0.08 to breed a Nakamoto. So, and don't get me wrong, I've sold plenty of horses at a loss because they weren't worth the money that I paid to breed them. And I'm not going to race them, so I'll recoup some investment. But not like the people that I sold it to made out. They didn't get a winning racehorse. They got a shit horse. So now they're not going to be happy because they overpaid what it was worth. And they're not going to be able to recoup their investment. And that all comes down to the class system, the breeding fees, and the point system, which we have a new point system. And a lot of people are really unhappy about that new point system. I'm not.
Do you want to dive into why you're not?
Well, one, I'm excited not to be getting a point for 4 anymore.
Same.
To me, that was beautiful because Slayer comes in second and third a lot. Has only come in first once in his career. He's my slate gray Zabo. But he classes up really fast because he gets second, third, and fourth a lot. Doesn't come in at the tail end very much, so he doesn't get many declassing point chances. Doesn't come in 12th really at all. So he was never going to get the big declassing points. But now I've got 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, I think 7th too, that I'm getting 2 points of declass. So I like that I can declass a little easier now by not having to get 12th. Oh, now everything's the equivalent of getting 10th. And the 10th is okay. It's not the best D-class, but it's okay. So now they're all that, but now I got 5 options for that. Okay, I'm good with that. So I'm not upset about it. But the people that I understand being upset about it are people that, due to the tourney or due to the previous system, are sitting up there in class 1. And maybe they're sitting on 70, 75 points in class 1 because of the tournament. So for them to declass and get down to where they could be racing against proper competition again, it might cost them $200, $250 to get down to racing level. There's some people that's just their racing career is done now. They can't afford to declass that much money to get to a competitive race. So I support those people as well, because while it's not going to negatively affect my performances that much, because Darth Talon can win a $15 class 2. So I can afford to declass. That's going to win me $100. If I spend 25 of that declassing down, I'm still pretty far up in my game. Not many people have that ability.
If you're
she is a natural U, she isn't always going to win that class 12 and
right.
that 15's gone.
Right.
But she's going to win. I think her current, even with all the downclassing, remember I declassed her from 100 points all the way to 0.
That's crazy.
So her win rate is shot. It's still at, I think, 14 to 16%. Her place rate or show rate, depending upon which culture you're in, her third place rate is still in the 30s, even after all those losses. Most people don't have a horse like that. So they are like Dork. I think Dork Love Sports is one that has been commenting on that, about how much trouble they're in now. because of the new pricing and point system. And they're stuck up there in class one without having a class one horse. So I understand and feel for the people that are in that situation because it did screw them. But I also constantly say, this is the horse that's profitable today. I can't tell you who's going to be profitable tomorrow because we don't get major updates from Zed. We don't get preparatory updates from Zed. And that the new point system that they implemented yesterday, when did they announce that?
Yesterday.
Okay. So yeah, no time to prep or anything like that. No time to be aware. Oh yeah, no, you're not going to be able to get. I got one of the last -4 12th place finishes that happened, and it helped me to where my next race where I only got -2. Well, I went from 61 to 59. Whereas if I had waited 20 more minutes to do that race, I would have only gotten -2 instead of -4. It would have taken me a couple more races to get out, and therefore more money that I'm throwing away to somebody else.
When you got Darth Talon down during that tournament, you got him down with free races, and now they're taking that away. You can only class up with free races now. So how you like that?
Oh, I do.
Okay.
I do, because to me that I can't imagine what it would be like to have a normal old class 5 horse and you go jump in a race and you're staring at Darth Talon, Miraggio, and I mean, just
yeah.
And due to timing, Darth Talon came in the 10th horse that entered the race.
Yeah.
So you're thinking, okay, I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine what that's like. So to me, that while I took advantage of it, I took advantage of it partially because I was tweeting about it as I'm doing it. I went on stream. I did the live stream breakdown of who was going to be successful in this tournament and why. What that would mean for everybody else. What you should be doing. And I was a half a day ahead of everybody else in everything I did. Other than that, I didn't declass to start that tournament. Why? All the monsters were down in class 5. Why would I start there and try and go up against them? I'll be up here in class 2 and class 1 where they aren't anymore. Win a bunch there. Oh, they're on their way up. Nosedive down. And telling everybody, this is, if you don't have a chance in the tournament, and you don't, this is what you should be doing. This is how you do it. Come join me in class 5 as we dive. And I did. I took it all the way to 0 class points. And that is hard to do with Darth Talon because she will win in her down class distance every once in a while. If it's a reverse roll, she's winning in a 2200, even though she's a 1,000-meter racer. And so when I got down there, I waited. Let every monster finish clearing out of class 5 and class 4, and then I started my climb. And so I'm, again, not racing against the monsters. And if I am up against the monsters, it's because they're in their down class. Can't tell you how many times I beat Princess of Power because she's a marathoner. And if I see her in a short race, I'm hopping in that thing. But it's about knowing the fields and stuff like that. And so that no down classing in the free races to me is a beautiful thing to keep people from doing exactly what I was doing during that tournament. I had 100 class points and it didn't cost me a dime to go to 0.
And you can just make a killing on the way back up in the paid races.
Right. I've made hundreds on my way back up. Now, I don't have to dive all the way to class 5. Whatever class I put her in, she's going to stay there because she's a natural U. Now, with the new point system, it's probably going to be just as easy for me because she's a 12, 11, 10, 9. Out of her 550 races, I think she's only come in 8th like 6 times. She's really huge. And so, yeah, I'm able to stay in my lane, I think. We'll see as we move forward and if they let me start racing again. but yeah, it's going to help keep monsters out of class 5 and keep from gaming the system the way I did. They're at least going to have to pay to get down there, which means they're at least contributing to some class on their way down, and somebody that couldn't maybe win in a race will be getting an opportunity to win because there's down classers that are having to pay for that race.
Right. Especially if you're studying and you see, okay, I know Princess of Power, this is the down distance. They're trying to down class. I should hop in this race because I have a better chance at winning.
Right, yeah. You see Miraggio in a 2200, that's a down class. You see Darth Talon in a high distance race. Don't get scared, jump in that thing. You've now got an easier field. Instead of 1 out of 12, you're 1 out of 11. And knowing the monsters is definitely important. I always tell people if you don't have a monster and you are one of the first 5 people in the race, you are meat. I don't even win the races where you couldn't get in the 250 races unless you were click, 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 click. You're meat. Because I can throw Darth Talon in as the first horse in a race, and I'm not scared. I'm not worried. Whoever comes in there, I've beat Miraggio before. I have beat the best. Well, some of the best. Not the best of class 1 maybe, but Miraggio, in my opinion, is one of the best horses in the game, and I have beat him. So I'm not scared of any horse. I'll jump in there. But only with Darth Talon. Any other horse in my stable, I am the 10th person in that race. I'm fighting with those last few people that are trying to intelligently pick a race to get in. Because if not, you're just throwing away your money. Because there are horses that don't have the ethics that Darth Talon does that will sit there and wait and jump in as a monster into a race that they're like, okay, not enough monsters in this for me to be afraid of. I can jump in here. That are using stacked max to see how many monsters are in that race. And that's another thing I tell people, if you're not using the Know Your Horses plugin, the stacked max plugin, the using HawkU and MJ Informatics, you're not playing the same game I am.
Facts.
You're donating money to me, and I appreciate it, but I'll still tell you about the tools. You should be using these. It's just, yeah, I love this game. I love talking about it.
Yeah, me too. But I do understand those people that have those monster horses. Like for me with diamonds, right? It's not smart for me to toss them in first 6 because I'm going to sit there for 3 days. Nobody's going to fill that race.
Right.
So I learned that from arbitrage. He's like, always fill, jump in last. I was like, check, got it, jump in last. Don't have to sit for 3 days.
And I am not scary enough that I'll be stuck there 3 days. Because of my natural enough people have beat me that they know they stand a chance. They love it. They love to brag on it on Twitter of, hey, I beat the legendary Darth Talon. I'm like, hey, yeah, let's do it again. Maybe next time it'll be my turn, but congratulations. I'm happy for people when they get that feeling because I know the feeling when I beat Miraggio.
Right.
My famous victory against him was I have a Twitter account for Darth Talon.
Mm-hmm.
And Darth Talon and I go back and forth sometimes. She likes to accuse me of not having any balls because I stick with mostly $250 and $5 races for her. And I keep her in class 3. And so one day she was giving me a hard time about that on Twitter. And I said, well, fine, then here you go. And I threw her in a race with monsters. Miraggio was one of them, but there were like 4 monsters in this race. And I'm saying it on Twitter. All right, here you go. You want the smoke? Here it is. Here's the heat.
Got it.
And she's like, yeah, let's go. And here's the link to the race before it pops. No clue what's going to happen. She wins that race. And so little things like that, I love that. I love that kind of interaction. When people comment to Darth Talon or to me about a race they're in, if I see a monster in a race I'm in or a stable owner that I recognize, I'm on Twitter saying, "Hey, I see you in class 2," or "What you doing in my Griffey?" Or
Mm.
something like that. Get
Mm-hmm.
that banter going, because the racing isn't nearly as fun if it's not social.
Right.
You know, that win is great, but man, I want to share that win. I want other people to be upset that they lost and talk smack to me. I've got plenty thick skin. You're not ever going to say anything that can hurt me. Uh, so I love the banter and the back and forth, and that's actually part of why I created Darth Talon, was just so I could have that back and forth of talk some smack here, and the horse says, "Yeah, who are you to talk?" You
Mm.
know, that engagement side of things. Now my horse has over 500 followers
Damn.
on Twitter.
Damn.
Yeah,
That's high. That's
uh,
that's
she's
cool
still
too.
chasing me. I got over 2,000,
Oh, there you go. There you go. It's
and over
nice though.
10,000 followers on LinkedIn.
Oh shit.
Yeah, my background is mixed reality.
Okay.
AR, VR, MR, XR, whatever letters your personal choices for the description. That's what I've been in, the industry I've been in for over a decade.
So let's get into
Uh,
that and and the Van Gogh tees. What's the story behind your NFT?
okay, so the Van Gogh tees are uh, artificial intelligence engine, that's based off of VQGAN, and a collab library that was written by somebody else that I tweaked to fit my needs. Uh, that I discovered this thing could make beautiful paintings for me, and a couple of people saw them and said, "Man, those are gorgeous." And so I decided, okay, well, I've got this human anatomy project that I'm involved with, and they're very, very early stage. It has to do with CT scan technology that I developed that is going to change medicine as we understand it. It's really amazing the things that I can do with CT scans now. And this is backwards compatible to every scan that's been done throughout history. But standing up a nonprofit is not easy,
Right.
and you need donations and things like that. And so I decided to create these artwork pieces as rewards for people that were donating to the Human Anatomy Project. Well, so I had to learn the process. That's when I got that bag to really kind of explore that process, and made a couple for individuals that I valued in the community, like MJ Stables and Zed Retro, that were very instrumental in helping me onboard into Zed. I made them their own custom Van Gogh tees, and and then I made, but before that, I had made a few on the Ethereum blockchain, and I sent a few of those off to some Zed executives, and that's when I really got to know about Polygon and how I could mint on Polygon. And so at that point, I decided, okay, I'm going to throw together a collection of these art pieces. I'll call them the process. So my exploration of the AI started with OpenAI.com. Uh, that is a artificial intelligence repository uh, that they have generative text AI. So you could put in a sentence and it will give you back a more flowery version of that sentence. And so people have used that engine to create things like Copy AI, which is a copywriting software that you give it a few articles and it'll write you a few new articles
Mm.
based on that information. And it was really powerful. And then they were going to be releasing one called Dolly, DALL-E, which took or text inputs and turned them into imagery. And my concept was, well, we need to democratize this. We need to give everybody the ability to do this, because if you work for, say, Industrial Light and Magic, and your boss comes to you and says, "Yeah, get me 10 renderings of a new TIE fighter. I want it to be sleeker with a lot more cannons." Dolly can do that. this engine can actually create those. Now, half of those probably won't look anything like a functional TIE fighter, and you won't use those, but maybe one or two of them will. And the concept was, if we can take this workflow and then finish the workflow by turning those pieces into NFTs, then you could have a non-artistic individual that was able to plug in their idea of what they wanted their art to be. And then that would work its way. Okay, we're going to take that input. We're going to make that more flowery, more descriptive through the first layer of the AI. And then we're going to put that output into the image generating AI and let that create some images for you to choose from. And then you can select any or all of them, and it will then send them to a minting process. And so I'm not Van Gogh. The process is Van Gogh of being able to take that human input, marry it with the AI, and have the output be an NFT. Whether that's an NFT for you to sell, whether that's an NFT for you to have as just a record of when this concept piece was created or any of the kind of stuff, didn't matter to me. Most people don't realize just how prolific NFTs are going to be in the future. You buy a house, the deed to your house will be an NFT, and then I'm the roofing guy that's going to come by and repair your roof. I'm going to sign that on the blockchain that I repaired your roof on the day that I do it, and the materials that I use will be included in that blockchain, and you can actually trace the materials that were used back to their manufacturing point, and then you can trace the materials that went into the manufacturing of those from their source location. That's the kind of level of blockchain that we will be having down the road. And so to me, it was just understanding that workflow process for this specific one. And because the text generation part was named Da Vinci, the AI image creation was named Dolly, I decided Van Gogh for the name of the process, and therefore the overall brand of the artwork. So I have since now trained 2 other artists to use the Van Gogh process, and hopefully we will release one of their collections very soon under the Van Gogh label. We are in the process of building a gallery for Decentraland. We are building a gallery / merch shop for Sandbox. So you'll be able to get a Van Gogh face mask for your virtual character, a Van Gogh shirt, Van Gogh pants. If you've seen the stuff for the Digital Breeders' Cup that's coming out, they're using a Van Gogh for the backdrop in that. I'm in discussions with a couple of PFP programs to use Van Gogh as rare one-of-one backdrops for rarity on their PFPs. Here's 10 individual Van Gogh that will be behind your character. I have other projects they're talking to me about Van Gogh for artwork pieces in the backgrounds of their worlds that they're building. And so really the goal is to end up being able to create, again, this process and solution so that I have a turnkey system with templates for shirts and pants and face masks that I can literally hand over to another artist or a company. Say you have a company and you want to have this type of branded merchandise presence. Okay, well, we'll help you pick out your land plot. We'll give you the templated store. We'll give you the managed service if you need it. Okay, yeah, we'll make all the wearables for you and host that process for you. Because I think there's going to be a lot of people, just similar to the way Retro Racing has done this Stable Swag shop, that we'd be able to take that kind of process. And if you didn't want your own, you could come in under the Van Gogh stores and be sold at a Van Gogh location. Or we can give you the turnkey process and walk you through getting your own location set up for your own business. And that onboarding doesn't exist. So that's what we're doing.
Okay. So so say I'm someone and I wanted to make my own project, I would come to you and I would say, hey, let's maybe throw like would we just type in words? So like say Seattle, Space Needle, all the stuff we would
I can
want,
do a lot of stuff. Yeah,
and okay,
yeah.
go into that.
So like, if you look at the ones that I have now, the Van Gogh series that came out, there's a Novus Earth series. Okay, Novus Earth isn't the 2 words I put into the AI engine. I spend a lot of time dialing in my words, the weight that each word has, because I can actually assign percentages to words, combinations of words, things like that, to where I'm getting a consistent feel for what I want. And so then once I have that pairing all dialed in, then I rinse and repeat. I still manually do each one and monitor each one to go through the process. And then I take the output from that and I convert that into the video. And then I build the NFT through OpenSea for it. And so there's a lot that goes into it. Like when I did the custom one for Zed Retro Racing, he told me kind of what feel he wanted it to have. He was like, kind of a Churchill Downs, or, an old racing, old school kind of look to it. Well, there's a lot of different things that I can tell it to do. Like I could tell it to do it in the style of Norman Rockwell or in the style of Picasso, or, so there's a lot of different inputs that you really have to kind of learn what words really cause something. The word neon, I love the output when I have the word neon in my stuff. And that's one of the key words that went into Novus Earth, was the word neon. But I don't always give it, a huge amount of weight. It might just be, I want some just nice purple accents to pop up in this thing. And by putting that word in there, I know I'm going to get that. And so I can do custom stuff, but I also do a lot of stuff where I create a series. And so the Van Gogh originals, I had 5 primary themes: the fairy tree, fairy world, Novus Earth, mysterious world, and can't think of what the 5th one was, but I did 20 of each of those 5 categories to make 100. This was my first series. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know if anybody was ever going to buy anything, if I would have any sales or not. But for me, it was, I'm learning. I'm going to do a 10,000 piece collection that I'm giving to the Human Anatomy Project for them to have as rewards. I need to understand this process. Is it the right system to be on Ethereum? Is it to be on Polygon? Is it to be on Solana or one of the other platforms? So for me, the Van Gogh Originals was okay, I'm going to test this out. Because of the response I got from the community, I decided to extend that a lot further and reward them for being the original helpers of me getting this process off the ground. And so I come up with the Van Gogh version 2s, and that everybody that buys a Van Gogh version 1, I'll give you one of the version 2s. Again, creating value in the only way I have for people that supported it. And I'm lucky that people love it and love their artwork. Nobody's sold for below floor of minting price. I think there's only actually right now 3 available to even purchase of the 70 something that are still out there, because I did burn some to help. Okay, nobody's buying the fairy world one. Okay, well then we need to, I don't want to sit here shilling my last 17 because nobody likes them.
Right.
Well, if you don't like it, then I'm going to get rid of it, and I'll make the ones that you did like out of that series more rare. And or this last time when I was going to burn, I said, you know what? I'm not going to burn this. They're doing a second chance for the kids. I always mess up.
Extra life?
Not Second Life. Is it
Extra life for kids?
Extra Life for Kids. Yeah, they were doing an all day long marathon on Pony Plug. And I was like, hey, you know what? I was going to burn these 3 Van Gogh anyways. I'm going to send them to you. You can give them away to people. Just don't sell them. I don't want that to drop the point zero 0.05
Right.
as the lowest they've ever sold. But the three that are still left for sale, or I think there's four actually. One at mint price from a secondary sale. So they didn't even list it for lower than floor. They listed it at mint price. There's two of them that are one's zero point 0.2 and one's 0.22, and there's another one that's 5. Those are the only ones available on the secondary market. 5 4 and 4.5 times what they paid to get it. So I couldn't have expected that kind of faith and love from the community. And because of that, that drove me to say, okay, how can I create more value? How can I turn this into something long-term value to these people? Rather than, oh yeah, a year from now, they're like, why did I ever buy that Van Gogh tee? I could go to the Van Gogh tee original page on OpenSea and watch these anytime I want. Why do I own them? So I had to give them reason to be happy with their ownership. So my next version, guess what? You can see the final image, but you don't get to see the video unless the owner of it shares it. That's locked content. So now, no, yeah, you can see how great it turned out. But if you want to watch the AI step through all the iterations to get to that image, which is what people love to do. I got people that tell me all the time, it's only a 15-second video clip, and I watch it for an hour over and over again. I love the thing. MJ says every time he sees it, he still sees something new. I want to continue to provide that kind of engagement for them. So that's why I came up with the Van Gogh T version 2s. And with the Van Gogh T version 3, anybody that completes a cube, which is 6 Van Gogh T version 2s that they from the same series that they burn, they get a cube. And inside that cube is a coupon for an actual physical in real life Van Gogh tee, where I take and I have a canvas print done of the final frame of your Van Gogh tee. And then I touch it up with real paint and sign it and then send it to you.
That's awesome.
And pair that real world. But it's only the people that assemble a cube, and so I'm trying to provide some gamification to that side of it. I'll be dropping 600 of these single images. There's no video with them or anything. You have to assemble 6 from the same series. Like I had 5 series of 20. You're going to have to assemble 6 single images from that series and burn them. I will reward you with the cube, and then you can choose to turn in that cube or not. If you unlock that cube and cash in on the code, it's a one-time code. So you will be burning your cube, but you will get a certificate of authenticity and the real world print at that point. So I tried to create multiple levels because it's only going to be 0.01 to buy a single image. Which means my originals were 0.05. To assemble a cube is going to be 0.06. Didn't really raise the price up much, but if you assemble that cube, you're not having to pay for shipping. You're not having to pay to get the artwork printed. I'm handling all of that. So I'm not really even making all that much off of the sale of them. And I can't spend what you guys pay for that because I've got to save that to print the canvas print and shipping and insurance on shipping, and probably be sending quite a few of them to Australia, knowing my followers. But that was what I really wanted. To me, that was the logical bridge. And, how do I move this forward? Well, I could just release another series of 100 Van Gogh Tee originals, and maybe people will buy them. Maybe they won't. But I wanted to reward the people that, without a white paper, without a website, without a Discord, I sold out at 0.05 a piece. People just don't know what that does for my heart and for me. That kind of love and acceptance is only come from my wife and daughter in my life. So
That's awesome, man. And I think you're onto something because who would have known? Who would have known, let's say 2 years ago, that $10,000 random generated art pieces would be the mainstream, right? Nobody would have guessed that CryptoPunks, the way that they did it, would boil off into Bored Apes, and now everybody has $10,000 or 10K collections with random mints. So who knows? In 2 years, people might, instead of having a human make the art, they would rather have their input and have an AI robot do it for them.
Yeah, and to me, I'm always about 10 years ahead of technology because that's the wave I like to ride. If you check my recent Twitter feed, you see me begging companies like XSense to give me the mocap body pieces because I want to be live streaming as an alter ego.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it's not that difficult to do if you're in that space. If you know the tools that you've got to use to do it, just a few pieces of hardware and software, and you are literally full body avatared. Facial expressions, forehead wrinkling, eyebrows, all that is part of your character, and it's tracking your face in real time and doing your broadcast real time with that. That's where I want to be. That's the next space I want to exist in. I was doing augmented reality overlays on the real world over a decade ago. I was doing Pokemon Go stuff before Pokemon Go existed.
That's funny.
I've been an advisor to MIT, NASA, the Air Force on the field of augmented reality and mixed reality. I speak on panels to the Air Force and NASA on these subjects. And so that is where the future is going to go. I mean, and as a broadcaster, you'll be one of the first people that's really getting exposed to that possibility. And after the stream and everything, if you want, I can hook you up with some information on a couple of YouTubers that are doing that right now. Xanadu is an amazing show. This guy is doing the best.
I think I've seen that. He's got like the thing around his neck, and he's got like the iPhone right here to track his face. A bunch of cameras in the corner of the room and stuff.
Yeah, but see, now he's moved on from that stage. He's using the XSense system, which is a digital reporting just sensor. Don't need the cameras. It's using kinematics, motion, just accelerometers, that kind of thing. And so, yeah, he's able to do that live stream and jump around and spin, and with the gloves, he's got full hand tracking. So if he wants to flip you off, he can. I mean, to me, that's the coolest thing in the world. When you're giving people, because my kid's sister is the shyest person in the world, agoraphobic, social anxiety, all that kind of thing. You can give somebody like that the ability to step outside of themselves and become someone that they are excited to be. Because so many people in the world today are not happy with themselves. They look at themselves and they are not happy, and they want a change. They want to do something differently for themselves. This gives them the ability to do that, to be somebody else in that virtual world. And you know what? Yeah, guess what? In life, she's a 62-year-old grandma, but at night, she's DJ Whippet, or whatever. And she's up there. Wow. Nobody knows she's a granny.
Exactly.
I love that is now possible. That you can literally become anybody you want. You want to be BoJack Horsehead? Guess what, BoJack? We got you covered now.
And you can go out into the real world without all the pressures of fame and like people bugging you. They'll have no clue unless they hear you talk, or you might even have a voice, like whatever, that throws people off.
Yeah, the voice modulator is going to change your output as well. So literally, yeah, you can go out and be a normal person. Your celebrity cred, digital, virtual world, you can't walk around in there, but snap your fingers and you got a different personality on you. You got a different So even in the virtual world, yeah, well, at night I'm grandma, but during the day I'm Joe.
That's pretty
I
awesome.
look forward to all that and bringing that to people and the awareness of that to people. Yeah, definitely follow me on Twitter if you want to see the coolest in tech. Because while I talk a lot about horses, I sprinkle in a lot of mixed reality, virtual reality, AR.
So how do you explain Zed Run to your friends and family?
So I talk about it a lot to people, and I describe them as my digital ponies. And one of my favorite things that I like to tweet out is that, or to say is, yeah, I race virtual horses in a virtual world for virtual money, virtually any time of day.
Breed them whenever
And
you
so
want.
then they're like, huh? And one of the companies I own is actually a courier service for veterinary clinics. And any day that I have to cover for the courier, I'm out driving and I'm going around and I'm seeing vets. And so I actually have shown a few of the vets, look, I'm racing digital racehorses. They're excited because they think horse racing is cruel. Uh, Most vets do. Uh, I don't know because I've never been involved in real world horse racing. I've been to the races a couple of times in San Diego and in Boise, Idaho, stuff like that. But that was decades ago. So for me, it's exciting, and I'm more than happy to explain to them all the time what I'm doing. I like telling them about selling virtual art as well because I think my collection sold 1.7 Ethereum.
Hell yeah.
I go to buddies of mine that are artists and be like, yeah, in the past 2 months, I've sold, I think, like 6 grand worth of NFTs. And because they're waiting tables and bartending, they get pissed. You know, they've got an art degree and can't, and are amazing artists and can't sell their art. And here I am, not an artist, and I'm making thousands on virtual art. Now, full disclosure, every bit that I get from the sale of Van Gogh originals, I don't cash it out of crypto. I spend it on horses and stuff like that. But I do the real world mirror of that and giving that to the Human Anatomy Project. So when I talk all the time about these fundraising for the Human Anatomy Project, just because you see me then go out and buy a horse after I got that stuff, I am in the real world pairing. They aren't set up to take crypto donations. They aren't set up to take uh, the WETH, especially because I don't roll in ETH. I just roll with WETH. Uh, I do translate that over into the real world donation. So
Okay.
it all does help. And everybody that's bought a Van Gogh tee, thank you very much. Uh, you're helping bring this amazing new technology to the world.
Hell yeah. So you
I just self brag. I got to show my CT scan software technique to medical researchers at Stanford, to Nobel laureates, and every one of them has been blown away with what I can do. Uh, what I'm doing should enable us to find cancer at much earlier stages, much earlier. It's going to enable people that can't get CT scans right now because of diabetes or allergies to the contrasting agents to finally be able to get that kind of information to get a CT scan so we can get the information about the insides of their body and what's going on. So just super excited about what the Human Anatomy Project is doing with my technology.
you said people that are allergic. Is it like harder for people that have certain problems to get CT scans or something?
Yeah, so diabetics can't go in for the CT scans. The contrasting agent, they can't do it. And my system should enable almost none or absolutely no contrast agent to be given to the patient. When you think about what's happening when you're given a contrasting agent,
What is a contrasting agent?
so that's the thing. If you've ever looked at a CT scan or X-ray, you see the white areas and you see the black areas and
Okay.
some gray areas.
Okay.
The white is the concentration of the contrast agent that's been given to the patient. Usually, it's some form of iodine or other radioactive substance. The problem with those is the place that that stuff likes to go to and accumulate in is in your bones. So you're radiating the person's bones, basically.
Mm.
And when you think of your immune system and where are the white blood cells created, and that's where that stuff is going on, is inside the bones. And so giving your patient a contrasting agent is actually destroying a lot of the natural processes going on in the body in some very important areas. And so if you don't have the health to be able to recover from that, if you're diabetic because it interferes with other processes, or you have an allergy to the agent itself, you can't get a CT scan. And so my system, uh, it works with the actual pure data values in a volumetric way and enables us to actually do uh, measurements on the changes over time between a previous scan and a next scan in volumetric 3D. So some things that they just aren't able to do right now, that we've enabled, and it should change medicine as we understand it once we get the first study funded and prove out the efficacy of our data. Uh, then it gets accepted at that point and can become mainstream. So it happened because 4 years ago I lost my stepmother to cancer that they had been telling us for 10 years she was cancer free. She wasn't. The cancer had changed into end-to-end chain molecules and grown in her all through her organs, her spine. And when she died, they still couldn't see the cancer on a CT scan, and that didn't make sense to me. I was like, well, if it's there, why can't you see it? So I researched the technology all the way back to Nikola Tesla and the invention of X-ray. And then I worked my way forward through all the innovations and the workflow and the pipelines that exist and why the innovations were done and everything about it, found the problem, and I fixed it.
That's beautiful.
You know, my title with my company is Chief Rainbow Maker. They wanted to make me the Chief Technical Officer, and I was like, no. Because what I do is I'll see something here, something there, and something there, and I know that if I put these things together, I'm going to get a rainbow.
There you go.
And so I have gold recovery systems that can now recover ultrafine gold particles all the way down to 20 microns and separate it from the heavy black sands. They quit searching commercially right now around 400 microns. They have miles and miles of fields out there that are full of dirt with gold in it that's just too small for them to access without using something like mercury to collect it and then burn off the mercury. And that's so horrible they don't do it. Although in third world countries, you see 12-year-old children hopping these fences into these yards and doing that, using mercury and burning off mercury to get a tiny little piece of gold that they can then sell to feed their family. I've created a physics-based system that actually can separate that gold out for them. And so I have all sorts, and again, that was a result of me. My daughter wanted to go camping. So I was like, well, what do you do when you go camping? Well, you go fishing. I don't really enjoy the taste of fish all that much. I mean, I can eat it, especially if it's fresh, but I've also been deep sea fishing and caught tuna. Once you've fought tuna, catching a trout is boring. Oh, we're done? Okay. So I was like, what else do you do? Oh, you can go, you can search for gold. You can go panning for gold. So again, me being who I am, I researched the technology. Okay, how do you find gold? How does, is there even gold in my state? Yeah, okay, South Carolina has gold in the rivers. Okay, well, how do I know where to look for it? How do I pan for gold? And in my process of studying all that, I came to understand the physics that were involved. So then I was like, oh, well, I found this thing over here when I was doing CT scan work, and I'm going to apply that math to this. And I gave that model to a computational fluid dynamics engineer, puts it in the computer. It didn't work. I was like, no, you need to change this angle and that angle. Snaps into place, and all of a sudden the gold and the iron are just almost magnetically shooting away from each other because of the channel shapes and what I've done with it. And so I did the same thing with Zed. I looked into it. The color breeding algorithm was where I discovered a little niche. And so I leaped forward with that, and I proved right. As I said, I've never had a less than 1% rarity offspring for coat color. Nobody that's ever bred with one of my studs has had a less than 1% coat color. That's the secret of slate gray. It might work as well for stronghold ivory. I just don't roll on the white side. What can I say? I'm on the dark side only.
I give you 0.5 ETH. What are you going to go get in the current market? If you're a new player, you have 0.5 ETH, no horses at the moment. What are you going to go get?
All right. So, first thing I'm going to tell you to do is go buy the absolute cheapest horse you can find on OpenSea. Should cost you, you should be able to get that for 0.009 or something, total donkey. Don't buy anything else. Now we're going to work through the mechanics, how stuff works, how we look up these things with your specific horse on HawkU, on Know Your Horses, on MJ Informatics. We're going to race a couple of races with that horse. We're going to then go back to those tools and see and understand how to use those, how that data is now updated and populated into this, so that you understand how the systems work. Once that's done, we're going to look for a racer, if that's your goal, because that's the next thing I'm going to ask you is, what's your goal? First thing you need to understand, though, is the racing side of things. Whether you're going to be a breeder or not, you need to understand the racing. You need to understand the current racing. You need to understand the previous racing. So I'm more holistic in that. It's going to be you're going to have that bag for a while before we're going to spend it. Because you're going to pick your first horse using the specific filtering on HawkU that we come up with that we feel is getting us a good group. I usually like to start with a flame rate of 60% or better, a finish rate, a win rate of 10% or better. That's my first two. Minimum of 11 races. Why do I do that? Why do I say a minimum of 11? Well, 11 races, one win won't give me a 10% winning. It'll be under 10%. So if they won their Griffey or, they won one of them, fine. I need more than 10% on 11 races, minimum, because that's going to say it's won more than once. And that's important to me. Slayer, love Slayer, but one win. Most everything else is second and third. You're not going to be profitable with second and third place finishes unless you really have an extremely left-leaning second and third place finish consistency. So I'm going to start with those filters, and we're going to look and see what's available that even qualifies for that. So if we look, usually I get between 2 and 10 returns on a filter like that, because those are rare horses. Those are racing horses. So then we'll look at that and see what's available. If there's something that we're like, wow, you see this guy must be hurting for money. He is selling a horse that should be a 0.2 horse for 0.09. Something like that, where I'm going to catch somebody that needs liquidity. You've got a play horse that you can race. If you're really jonesing for a race, throw your shit horse into a race and you can watch a race. We are going to dial in and get you your horse. So that might take a week before we even find one that we could both agree on that, yeah, this is a good buy for you. And again, you hear me talking, I'm still trying to stay under that 0.2. Your bag was 0.5. Because you need money to race. You need money to buy tournament tokens. You need money to maybe breed. If you've got a female. And you're like, hey, I got a good racer. Let's take a shot. Let's start building up that. Those are my first ones. And then after that, I'm going to beg you to get a Genesis male. And most people are like, why? Genesis males are so undervalued, it's pathetic. I mean, the fact that a Genesis female is twice as much as a Genesis male means people don't understand math. How many horses are there in the ecosystem? How many horses are there going to be in the ecosystem 6 months from now? How many exclusive females are going to exist 6 months from now? That people want their offspring to remain exclusive so that they can sell the thing. Only one way to keep it exclusive, a Genesis male. Now, yes, there's going to be value in having breedable females in the Genesis line to create legendary, because legendary's value will be high. But you have to sell that legendary. Females are a draw on your bank account. Males, okay, so nobody bred with it this month. It didn't take anything away from you. It didn't add anything to you. But maybe next month you sold 3 covers. You didn't do anything. That's passive income. The more Genesis males you have, the more passive income you're going to be able to make in the future down the road, when that Genesis pricing becomes more paired to a proper breeding system, where it's rare for Genesis and the breeding costs for Genesis are measurably higher than everything below it. And you still have to have that Genesis male to keep that Nakamoto female exclusive. You don't care if her offspring ends up being a Buterin, as long as it's still exclusive. Now, you will be able to capitalize on all of those. When I had Looper never had a month that he didn't sell out his covers. My slate gray Genesis Buterin male. Didn't have a good racing record, didn't have good stats. All he had going for him was he was Genesis, male, and slate gray. 3 covers a month gone. Now, I had others that would sit in there. I've got probably a dozen studs in the farm right now. And because of the current environment, nobody's buying. I offer a 50% discount on the stud fees. I'll return 50% to you. Still not getting takers. That's the current environment we're in. But if I had a Genesis and I'm offering 50% off a Genesis, those 3 covers are taken, I guarantee it. Because people need the exclusive. So that's what I would tell them. I would start them off with a shit horse. I'd help them find a cheap racer that's probably going to be a class 5, class 4 racer, but can be profitable at those low levels. And then get a cheap investment horse and save some of their bag for tokens for tournaments and racing fees.
I like that. You covered all bases, because if me personally, I just tell people to get Z2s, which is because it worked for me. But
right.
I like what you said there, because I miss out on all the other bases. I don't tell people how to research on Haku, what you need to be looking for, this number at Flames, this number at races, whatever, like all that other stuff. You've talked from tools to tokens to racing to breeding to Y stallions over mares. I like that you covered every base, and starting with not the best racehorse, just to understand the game.
Yeah, get you a shit horse. Lose a bunch of races that are cheap $2, $2.50 races, and start to recognize maybe who some of the monsters are. And start to get a feel for who the other stables are. You know, if you wait to buy that racing horse for 2 months, and you're now in the ecosystem of Zed and getting to know people, you reach out to one of the streamers or large stable owners, and you're like, hey, I've got a budget of 0.3, and I'm really wanting to get a short distance racer. Some of these stables are happy to move something that they don't have the time to race. You know, some of these well-known people in the community, they're really great people that are sitting there going, yeah, I've got 30 racers in my stable that are all legit racers, but I only have time to race 4 or 5. So if I can flip one of them that I'm not actively racing to somebody that's new in the game and they're all about that kind of stuff. I mean, look at how many horses Lucky Jack and Pony Plug streams give away.
A lot.
Yeah, and Sean versus All and MJ, and how many brand new people are brought in that are given a Z18 or a Z22. I got a buddy that has no horses yet. That I'm still trying to get him to come in and get his first horse, and I tag him in a lot of the giveaways, and even out him. Still has no ponies, on that. And I'm always telling him, man, if you want to get into this game, Saturdays at Sean's stream, that's where you need to be. If you don't have a horse, if you have no horse, you've got your stable set up but no horses, you need to be on Sean's stream. Because him or one of his friends is going to be like, what? You don't have a horse at all? You got a horse now. Send me your address. You got a horse. They're Oprah about that. You got a horse. You got a horse. I mean, it's great. And that's our community. I love our community for that. And it's on him. I won't send him one because he won't do the effort. If he showed up to Sean's stream and he didn't win a horse on Sean's stream or get given a horse on Sean's stream, I'd give him one. I got a slate gray female Supercoat, unnamed, unraced, unbred, sitting in my stable right now that I would have given to him weeks ago if he would have just gone and hung out in Sean's stream.
Right. You're not going to give it to them if they don't put in the effort.
If you ain't going to put in the effort, I'm not going to give you shit.
Exactly.
That's the way I am. If you're going to put in the effort, you can ask people in the community that come to me for advice. I will spend an hour and a half on the phone with you. No problem at all. Walking through your issue, your problem, or your theory, or whatever. Because that's just the way I am. But if you aren't willing to put any effort in, I ain't got time for you.
Exactly. Because you're taking your own investment. I mean, like me personally, I want to get all my friends into this game, like every single one of them, because I know how fun it is. But if they don't want to do it, then I'm not going to force them to do it and give them a horse when they wouldn't appreciate it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. The last thing I want to do is give a horse to somebody and have it sit there and not get raced or get sold 2 weeks later just for the Ethereum, not for an upgrade. I got no problem if I gave you the horse and you sold it and then you used that to buy you a different horse. I gave you that horse because I didn't have faith in it, So I got no problem with you having no faith in the horse, but if you aren't going to race it, give it back. I'll give it to somebody else that wants to learn the system. But yeah, that's definitely where I'd start somebody at is, and I've said it on my stream before, most of the programs out there, the YouTube video series that you see will start you with MetaMask and walking you through MetaMask and how to set up your MetaMask and all. And on my stream, I say, no, you aren't ready for MetaMask. If you don't have a MetaMask, you aren't ready for one. You need to do a week or two of learning before you're even ready to do that. Otherwise, you're going to screw up like I did. You're going to give somebody access to your account unknowingly or something like that, or you're going to lose your seed phrase or your logins or something like that. So I tell people you're not ready. I want you to pretend you have that. We're going to use all these tools. We're going to do all our research, that kind of stuff. And you're going to learn about MetaMask as we go through this. And then once you've completed that 2 weeks of education, you can do that. I'll be like, now, if you want to go ahead and buy your Ethereum in your Coinbase account, because it takes 6 days to get it out from your first time buying this shit, that I'll let you do. But we're not getting you a MetaMask until I feel like you have an understanding of what you now own. Just like I'd never buy my daughter a 22 rifle without ever having taken her to a shooting range.
Right.
You'll shoot your eye out.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's people in the space that are trying to steal your money. Just straight up.
Completely.
It's the open jungle out here. Someone's going to try and steal your money.
Even the experienced people still screw up. I have a PFP of a D-race horse. Not the D-race horses. Some guy that released a collection of hand-drawn horse imagery and named the damn thing Dirac.
Ah, damn.
Fortunately, I bought one that I liked the look of. So I look at that as a PFP,
Okay.
and I'm the only guy that was dumb enough to buy one
Ah,
last time I checked.
damn.
But it was a 4:30 in the morning purchase for a couple of .00 something or whatever, so it wasn't a big deal. And I've been up late and done stupid stuff with buddies on Sean's chat room before. I think one night a bunch of us bought a bunch of pics of bananas,
Oh, the dirty
dirty
bananas.
bananas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still got like 4 dirty bananas that I bought. And don't get me wrong, I love my pixel rubber ducky community, but it's not like it's high art. I still own it, and I didn't put it up to list because I enjoy the community that I'm part of there, and they're mostly Zed gens
Yeah.
that are in that. So I don't mind. But if that's gonna screw up your budget because you made that wrong purchase so early on, I hate to see those kinds of things happen to people. And the majority of that happens because Zed has no onboarding process. You want to learn how to get into Zed? Do you go to Zed to find that out? Fuck no. You go to Poseidon Racing or something like that and watch their videos and learn. I don't ever send anybody to Zed to learn how to do Zed. Arbitrage, or not arbitrage, Poseidon for the how to onboard. The tools are MJ and Know Your Horses and Hawk U, and LIR Syndicate. Those are the tools. None of that is Zed. I would never send someone to Zed Discord.
Right.
I mean, and not unless I don't like you. I mean, I have to really not like you to suggest you go to Zed General or Zed Beginner chat.
Yeah.
And so it's a fun game, but it's got you need shepherds, you need chaperones to really onboard you properly, and that's some of the beautiful things that have developed in the community. I mean, personally, MJ is my ultimate. I worship the ground he walks on just about. Just love the guy because of the quality of human being he is. Yeah, his tool is great. I love his tool. I could still be successful without his tool. But I'm also always pointing out to people in the industry, and especially did that on his stream one night. I couldn't believe it. For 2 months, I sat there as the legend with only having donated a cumulative amount of $50 to him. And finally, I just started calling people out in his chat. I'm like, y'all are some fucking shit people. How much money have you guys made because of this man's tool?
Facts.
And I'm the legend at $50? Y'all some sorry sons of bitches. Sorry for the language.
Hey, free platform. Say whatever you want.
All right, cool. But now that's changed. That day that I called everybody out, we broke MJ. I've got the NFT to prove it.
That was that night?
Like $1,000 that night.
Okay, I've seen the NFT.
That was the first night. From then, it is maintained. It is maintained. He is now being treated a lot closer to the way he should be. But I did. I had to call these people out. I'm like, what are you guys going to do if you lose Hawk-U, MJ? Know Your Horses. Now, Know Your Horses and Hawk-U seem to be pretty far up Zed's ass, just based on the release. Like when we got Flames, how quickly did we have a Flame interface on Hawk-U?
Right.
And Know Your Horses. So they seem to have pretty good communication going on there on the dev side of things and the API side of things. But what if Zed decided to close off their API? It's happened. We had a couple of hours before where the Zed API wasn't working, and so Hawk-U wasn't functioning, or Know Your Horses wasn't functioning right. MJ works off of a dump, so his is usually as current as he is on the dump. It's still going to be operational. But if that data gets cut off, how are you going to race? How are you going to feel like you're confident in your decisions and everything? Are you keeping any of your own data? I only have one racehorse that I truly race, Darth Talon. So I know her distance preferences.
Right.
But you got 50, 70, 100 horses in your stable? You better have your own spreadsheets. You better be tracking this stuff. You better be getting your own copies of those downloads, of those dumps from HawkU. Because you don't know. This thing is still in beta. It could change any day. They could decide to bring HawkU in-house or know your horses in-house. Close off API access to the outside. And then you've only got the tool that they provide. Most people don't think about that stuff.
That's a good point.
Or say the stacked NACS plugin. The developer of the stacked NACS plugin called it quits because no one was supporting it. He sold his code to Danshan. Danshan chose to keep a legacy version available to everybody. He didn't have to do that. I love the stacked NACS plugin. It's a beautiful thing. And like I said before, if you're not using it, and I am, you're not playing the same game I am.
Facts.
But Danshan's not playing the same game I am because he's got the blood tools. If I was him, I would never have let y'all keep this stacked NACS plugin. This shit would have been mine and mine alone. Oh, I don't care what the community says about me. Don't like me? Psst, right there. You should have bought it yourself. Should have donated to the guy that made it if you found such great value in it.
Yeah.
Why didn't you let him know you had great value in it? You know, so I'm always ripping on people about that complain about the Zed ecosystem or the changes that are made. Like, the word beta is there for a reason. This is not the final game. Yes, some people are wonderfully successful right now and are making lots of money, but tomorrow they could release an update that turns your demon into a donkey. You better be prepared for that. At what time is the right time for you to cash out on that racer? You know, Arbitrage decided 400,000 plus was good for Breathless Edge. I don't blame him because next week there could be a release that gets his bed.
Yeah.
And now that horse is no longer one of the best in the game. Now it's mediocre. You know, it happened. Stamina was introduced. And Breathless Edge went from being able to race 100 times a day to 3. And then they adjusted it and it became 10. You know, and before the stamina update, I was racing Darth Talon 30 times a day.
Damn.
Just trying to get all the data in.
Damn.
You know, because they said, hey, we're doing away with odds. That's when I raced her the first time. So I was pounding through those races to try and get as much data as I could on her before they took odds away. And then they brought us flames. And everybody got upset about flames. And why is my horse losing when I get flames all the time? That's because people don't understand the math. I'll make it real simple for you. If you have a horse whose natural finish position is 3, 4, 5, that's their peak of finishes, 3, 4, 5. About 1 out of every 10 times, they're going to come in third. Guess what? That could very easily turn into a flaming horse. When you think about the percentages that are involved, there's 12 horses in the field. If 10% of the time I can hit that podium, I'm doing better than a lot of the other horses in this race. And if you have a couple of guys that are really strong up there that are going to hit that high number, then yeah, they're going to get flames as well. But I could be a 1 out of 10 third place finisher that occasionally maybe gets a second. And that's all it takes to push me up over that 9% that is the average. And so I could get flames all the time and still not get first place. It doesn't tell you whether it's a 15% win or an 85% win possibility on that horse. It's not even saying it's a win possibility with Flames. It's a podium possibility. And so people get all bent out of shape. I'm sorry, you need to read. You need to read the white paper. Know why I'm so bullish on Supercoats? Read the fucking white paper. If it's important enough to the devs, they're going to put it in and mention it multiple times. It's going to be part of the game. It's going to have value. It's going to be part of the future. So while, it doesn't do anything right now, and it doesn't affect race performance at all in any way. Still important enough to them, they put it in there.
Exactly. And once they implement it into the game, like, then you'll probably see the market go up. Honestly, when we saw the NASCAR pass, the day that they announced something with it, it went to 0.33. So, like, me sitting back, I'm like, oh, this is going to happen with the Genesis. This is going to happen with the Supercoats. Anything that they've said is going to come into the game, and we're expecting these things. I mean, it's hard to hold on to something when it's not implemented yet. And you'll see the ENS domain going off. You'll see Bored Apes. You'll see this. It's like, I know this is going to have long-term value, but I could make a quick flip in all these other projects. So it's hard to hold on to something like that.
And it's hard to say, okay, if I lock this up over here, I'm scared I'm going to miss the chance over here.
Right.
And so I'm in that right now with Riot Racers. I have had two cars and one racetrack land in Riot Racers. I just bought a car, and it was a rookie car, and I paid probably 3 times the mint price for it. But I read their white paper. I wanted to have a Genesis level car. And then I bought a land. That was 0.2. That's a Genesis horse. Now, I lost 2 Genesis in the hack. I have 1 Genesis left, and it's unbred, so I can't breed it. I'm holding that part of the box unopened on it. So I'm sitting there looking at my land, and it's only 0.2. But it could be a Genesis horse very easily. But I know that next month the gameplay starts in Riot Racers. And I get a percentage of income in Riot off of every racetrack, off of every race that's raced on my race land. So while I would love to cash out my car and my land that I have over in Riot Racers and buy this dip in Genesis horses right now and get myself a breedable Genesis horse, that fear of missing out on what's the pump going to be on these, because the pump on the cars, I got a car that I bought for 0.09 that now the cheapest one is 0.2 of that level of car. I mean, I could definitely be flipping that car. But there's benefits to owning a car in a land. That gives me Baron status. That gives me a monthly drop in Riot tokens. So I can't step out of that. But I'm hating missing out on these low Genesis males. I'm like, man, I saw a few of them yesterday for 0.11. I don't care that they can't race. I don't care if they've got shitty fucking offspring. There's going to be plenty of, sorry to call you that, but losers in this game that have no clue, that just want a Genesis exclusive, Genesis breed at minimum. And so that's that down the road that I know that value is going to be there. But where do I situate myself right now? So for right now, as low as those Genesis are, I think there's going to be a sooner pump in my Riot Racer value. So I got to leave it there. But God, it kills me seeing these low Genesis male prices. Y'all some idiots. That's all I got to say.
I'm with you.
Idiots.
I'm with you on the Riot Racers.
Z2s, I'm with you on the Z2 value that you tell your buddies. I don't have anybody that's coming in that wants that kind of value. Now, I do have one buddy of mine that I'm like, Ethereum was at 1,900. I was like, brother, send me a bag. I know you don't have time to play. I know that that's not in your wheelhouse right now, even though I know you'd love this. Poker buddy, wealthy guy, was like, send me an Ethereum. Got him to send me an Ethereum. I bought him a royal blue because that's his company that he owns his color. I bought him a royal blue male, royal blue Genesis female, and then an exclusive female as well. All Buterin. You're like, look, you don't have to do anything except for once a month you need to log in and breed your male to both your females. Then don't do anything. You don't got to do anything besides that. And so that's what he does. Every month he just logs in, and because I call him and ping him and be like, dude, your horses are ready to breed.
Yeah.
Breed them. And so he's doing that. And that's what I started, somebody that has no knowledge and is not going to get involved, but wanted an investment. I was like, okay, you want a Genesis breeding pair of a matched color set. And then he had a little left over, so that's why I bought him the other female. And I was like, but this is the basics. I tried to get him to spend 7 ETH because there was a matched pair of Z3 Sir Aquamarines at 3.5 ETH a piece for the longest time.
Genesis or
Genesis?
Whoa.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there all the time. I'm like, why don't I have a bag that big? A matched breeding pair of unraced, unbred, ultra rare color.
Mm-hmm.
Just But so that's the beauty of it too, though, is there are entry points for every bag size. Do you want a shit lottery ticket, a UUU pacer or cross? Get one. Have fun with the thing. What are you going to lose? $5 a day, $10 a day? If you can't afford to lose that, you really shouldn't be in the horse racing. You should really be spending more time creating income for yourself than gambling your income away.
Right.
This should never be your investment. Yes, it can be a lovely investment, but this shouldn't be where you put your investment in life. Because guess what? Tomorrow, the SEC could step in and make Zed crumble in the US. They could legislate NFTs and the buying and the selling of NFTs to make this game where you can't play. If they legislate it to where every transaction you do is taxable on the blockchain,
that'd be bullshit.
But it's
they might do it, but it would be
bullshit. Don't understand it writing the laws.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to have those thoughts in your head of, what is my exit strategy? What is my risk tolerance? And at what point do I need to cash out the value that I've gained before it gets broken and it's not there anymore? Now, I've had a few rug pulls that I could have flipped earlier and not been rugged at all.
Right.
For a profit. It's all about knowing all of these things. And if you don't know all these things, you're gambling a heck of a lot more.
Yeah. We're betting on.
You don't plan for these. Hope for the best, expect the worst. It's usually going to be somewhere in between.
Mm-hmm. We're betting on Ethereum, Polygon, Zed Run. If you really think about it, we're betting on a lot of layers to where this game is built on top of these foundations, but they're not the most solid foundations because the whole environment isn't like set in stone or regulated or anything like that yet.
This isn't like playing World of Warcraft and selling gold or selling items to someone on eBay. World of Warcraft sits on its own servers. It's not dependent upon Polygon or something like that. So even if you're like, oh no, I've been in the gaming space for years, I've done this flip assets kind of thing for years, this is a different ball of wax because you are dependent upon other people's layers. I mean, remember when we had the huge Matic problem where it was taking 12 hours for a race to go through, or a day for a race to actually run. Or we weren't sure exactly what the problem was, but no transactions were processing on Matic for hours. And we're dependent upon Zed to tell us. Zed's dependent upon Matic people to tell them. And We also have to throw in OpenSea into that group.
Yep.
You know, my horses are broken. Zed can't fix my horses. I have to go through OpenSea. You know, there are so many different pieces that any of them could break.
Risk versus reward, right?
Yeah, and just as always with gambling, don't bet what you don't have and what you can't afford to lose. You know, if I lose my entire bag, my entire stable, my life and my family will continue on. I know some people that if they lost access to their entire stable, that is their life is screwed. They have banked so much into their horses that right now the value increased because they got their horses and Ethereum was $1,000 when they were buying their horses. And so now everything is 4x from where it was to begin with, or 5x from where it was to begin with. That's great. But if it all got wiped out, they have tons of savings that they put into this liquidity that would be wiped out. If they got hacked and all their crypto was shipped off, like happened to me, yeah, I still managed to lock down OpenSea. And I still had 11 out of my 14 horses still in stable. And Darth Talon was one of them. So therefore I was able to still continue racing. If Darth Talon had been one of the ones that got taken away from me and I couldn't get it back, I don't have any racers. The game is almost game over for me at that point. I've only been able to come back as far as I have because of the community supporting me and Darth Talon being badass. You know, like I said, she's won an ETH in winnings. So if I'd lost her, it'd be a lot longer trying to come back from my little hack, let alone a big hack. Yeah. And too many people are not. I mean, I see people all the time. They're like, "Oh, I can't afford to race in this racing environment." Well, then maybe you couldn't actually afford to race in the previous racing environment as well.
Just didn't know.
But you were lucky that you were able to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've had times where I'm down to below $10, and I'm like, "Okay, Darth Talon, you got to make this. You can't on me today. I need a win."
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm trying to say I haven't been there either. But when that happens, I'm just as panicked as they are.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing your risk tolerance for that stuff is part of knowing the game and knowing where you're at risk. We've got the new partnership with Zed with the Red Village. So now Zed is splitting some of their focus, in my opinion, onto a secondary project. Now, that's not Zed, that's virtually human that's doing that splitting, because Zed's just one of their products. You know, they've been around longer than Zed. Zed wasn't their first foray into tech. They've been around for a little while. But with that new partnership, how much of their focus is going to now be split? How many of the new staff members that are coming on are going to be tasked to helping with the Red Village side of things? And what does that do as far as taking away from the Zed team? Don't know. We'll have to see. But it's potential risk.
Also potential payout as well, because if we look at Epic Games, they got Fortnite, they got Rocket League, they've got a bunch of games. All of these are hits and all under one umbrella.
Yep. That's what I'm saying. It's a risk. I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
Right.
I'm just saying you need to be aware of this stuff. You need to track this stuff. You know, how many of the Zed or virtual human people do you follow on LinkedIn? I know you probably follow the people that are primary on Twitter and talk a lot, but you can learn a heck of a lot more if you dive deep into the company and the people involved. Like, There was a whole NASCAR commercial that featured Zed horses. Zed didn't share that. I did.
Yeah.
I'm the one that found it. It was 3 days later that Zed put it out. But 3 days before that, I'd seen the post on LinkedIn from NASCAR because I followed their partners. I followed who the virtual human partners were. When Virtual Human announces a partnership with this group over here, I immediately go to that company. I follow that company. I tag everybody in there asking for a connection request on their staff. But again, that's me, and that's the way I do things. That's the way I do research. You hear me constantly saying, no, don't just jump in, do the research, learn the environment, learn what you're doing. Yeah, you can still have fun if you don't do any of that stuff. But you're playing a different game if you're not doing that stuff than the people that are.
Mm-hmm. We're coming up on 2.5 hours, so I got 2 last questions for you. Yeah, time has flown by. So you were talking about that you read the white papers for Zed Run, which I really like. You're into Riot Racers, which I'm also in. Can you tell me why? Because I love what they're doing, from the Racers Coalition to their Riot token to the asset ownerships of billboards, racetracks, the Baron loot, the monthly rewards you get. So what do you like about Riot Racers?
So I love all those aspects, and their detailed white paper was really something that I appreciated, because I've been asked to look at a number of white papers since I've gotten involved in this space, and to me that's one of my absolute favorite white papers out there. Red Village has another really nice looking white paper too. I'll give them credit on that. But for me, it was the ability to not have a Z1 racehorse that I'm stuck up going up against. Because with 13 or 1400 tracks that they have right now, and all the different configurations of your car, from the chassis, the handling, the tires, brakings, all that, the drivers, the amount that you as an individual could affect the input on the race, it was really exciting to me. The number of variables involved there in that gives tons of room to learn and understand each different situation, things like that. And it becomes less a game of pay to win than it is a game of skill. And anytime it's a game of skill, I'm pretty confident in myself.
Let's go.
I love poker. I may not finish first, but that's why I'd play tournaments, because I will be in the final table and I will get paid. I don't have to be number one. Most of the times, by the time it's down to the final table, I'm happy to have gotten here and I start playing loose as hell, because I don't give a shit anymore. I'm ready for it to be done, because there were 200 people in this tournament when I started, and now I'm down to the final 6.
Mm-hmm.
So you can check out join me in one of the poker games on the if you're in Riot Racers, I'm sure you've seen the poker group that is referenced in there quite frequently. If not, I'll make sure you get an invite.
Yeah, I gotta check that out.
Yeah, because we actually have Riot tournaments where they give away Riot tokens for those tournaments that are free rolls. So
yeah, what I really love about Riot Racers is kind of like what you said, is you can buy that rookie car, and you can upgrade it to where you're like in class 1. It's not that you buy this car and you're stuck, you can't make any improvements with it. You can add an exhaust or a drivetrain or a chip or something, and then go and compete against those Z1 equivalent cars.
Yeah, and that if you're not able to compete up there, that's okay. There is competitions down here. 1,400 racetracks. There's going to be plenty of races to choose from. The racing class stuff will make it to where there's plenty to choose from and plenty of opportunities. And then, yeah, of course, there's still that early mover advantage that I really love as well, of having been able to get a racetrack land at point 2.
Mm-hmm.
Because when it comes out and people realize that you can make passive income by owning these racetracks, that's going to skyrocket. I can't imagine that's going to stay down there, especially not when you look at the cost of machine shops, gas stations, and billboards that they have. the rookie racetracks are criminally underpriced right now.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't be able to buy a rookie car for the same price you can buy a rookie land. But the opportunity is there right now. And actually, I hope somebody buys it. If somebody buys it and would like to trade me because I can't afford to, there is a racetrack land out there. If it's still available, it's track number 420. That is the floor track for 0.198. I would love to swap my land for that land just because I would like to own racetrack number 420. But if you're not willing to, just not financial advice because I'm not a financial professional, but it's racetrack number 420. How many people are going to want to race on racetrack number 420? How many people are going to be excited that they won a race on racetrack number 420? It can become one of the most famous racetracks out there. And it's the floor track. Again, I don't get y'all, don't understand y'all. I'm giving away all this free advice I have for months now. I keep telling you guys all my secrets, and y'all don't listen. But that's okay. I'll
It's all
keep
good.
enjoying it.
Hey, keep making your own money. Do you have any questions for me?
So when are we gonna get you an alter ego?
That's a good
Get
question.
Get you streaming as an avatar.
That's a good question. I think once that's
Because
probably
we
a
can
pretty
do it with
price
just the
tag.
face.
Just a
We can
face?
do it with just the face shot and not do the full body tracking using some Apple software. If you got an iPhone.
Yeah, I got an iPhone.
All right, we'll talk.
All right. Yeah, you're an artist too as well. So, correct?
I like to do artistic things. I don't
Okay.
know that it's hard to call myself an artist when I see the beautiful work done by other people that are doing it by hand.
Right. Hey, but everybody's got their own thing. Where can people catch you at?
So running on the Darth side is my Twitch stream. At Mixed Reality Man is my Twitter handle, and at Mixed Reality is also my LinkedIn page. I own that page.
Okay.
LinkedIn.com/in/mixed reality. That's my profile page. That's how long I've been in the industry. I just claimed that one as my page for my profile.
And if I want to go research your Van Gogh tees, where can I go do that at?
Okay, so that would just go to OpenSea and type in Van Gogh Originals, and that's the collection that's sold out, but that you can watch and see how the videos progress and get excited for December when I drop version 2. One sneak peek about version 2 is that I will have 25 Novus Earth cities that I'm going to give the community the opportunity to name those cities. So if you're in Australia and you'd really like to have your shithole town in Australia be one of the Novus Earth cities, you might get that chance. Or maybe you live in the Philippines and I don't even know the names of any of the cities in the Philippines to be able to reference one, but maybe that's where you're from and you'd like to have that. That's going to be a possibility. So just kind of, again, my way of tying in the community that got me here with contributing to the content.
Awesome. All on the Polygon network, no gas?
Yep, no gas, no gas.
Beautiful. Yeah, I can't stand
I
gas.
couldn't afford to list them if there was if I had to pay gas. So
I didn't even think
that
about
was why I chose Polygon. Free to mint them, free for you to buy them as far as gas fees go.
Yeah, I feel like just the overall market of NFTs really undervalues Polygon, and once people catch on to that, because like it's what, $1.70, I'm like, it's right next to Cardano, so like, just me, I'm like, we got Zed Run on Matic. All my projects I like are on Matic. Riot Racers on Matic. All this stuff. So
Chicken Derby.
Chicken Derby.
How many chickens do you own?
None, but I paid attention to it.
I have one. Darth Vader.
Nice. I wanted to ask you, how did you get the DarthSide name? Did you buy Darth Vader first and then say, okay, we're just going to build around Darth?
No, actually, my original stable was Van Gogh stables, and my goal was to have a Genesis set of every super rare color for breeding. Basically a full color palette, kind of matching with my Van Gogh artwork kind of thing. And then that's when I read the algorithm about the color breeding, and I bought Darth Talon. And in my searching of slate grays, came across Darth Vader for sale. Darth Vader is the most expensive horse I own. Uh, half an ETH, a little over half an ETH actually. I paid for it, and actually my wife paid for it. It was a Christmas present this year
Hey, nice.
from my wife.
Nice.
And once I had Darth Vader and Darth Talon, that was DarthSide Supercoats running on the Darth side, and from that point on, I was slate gray and Darth everything.
I like it.
And then yeah, I've capitalized on some of the best names in the Star Wars universe on the dark side with Darth Talon, Darth Krayt, Darth Vader, Darth Nihilus, Darth Sidious. You know, Malotobuk even is the wife of Chewbacca. Now that horse was given to me after the hack to help me get back on my feet, so I will never sell that horse.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to come up with a name. It was a brown horse. I'm like female Wookiees. Malotobuk, Chewbacca's wife. I'm like, perfect, that'll work. There we go. So yeah, but I am a huge Star Wars fan. The lightsaber right there with my tattoo that I designed of a yin yang.
Nice.
I 3D printed the Mandalorian helmet here, and this is all parts of my Mandalorian costume. That's a Nerf gun that I painted. You know, I mean,
nice.
So I'm. This is a Star Wars hat.
Okay.
So my life is either Raiders or Star Wars. Oakland Raiders, that's my team, and so everything I own is black. For some reason, my shirt's looking purple on stream, but thanks to the guys at Zed Retro Racing for hooking up my merch shop. I'll have a hoodie or a beanie soon to replace the Star Wars with the running on the dark side.
Yeah, stable swag. So I'll probably be talking to you once Disney comes in with their partnership and they buy Darth Vader, and you can come back and tell us the story of it.
Oh, hell yeah. All right. Smoke them if you got them, everybody. You know I'm not afraid to bring that smoke.
Let's go. All right, DarthSide, thank you so much, man. This was a great conversation.
Thank you, man.
Have a good day.
You too, man.